Welcome to PillowTaleTime, where stories don't just end, they unfold. Tonight's journey begins in a quiet town, on a street no one remembers walking down twice. Behind an iron gate, past a flickering lantern, there stands a library that does not lend books, it writes them, and once it writes yours, it never makes mistakes. This is the library that writes your future. Elena was 16 when she first found the street, or maybe the street found her. She had stayed late after school, studying for exams she wasn't sure she cared about anymore. The sky had already turned violet when she realized she'd taken a wrong turn walking home. The road ahead wasn't familiar, it was lined with old-fashioned lanterns, and at the very end stood a tall building with stained glass windows glowing faintly gold. Above the door, the Eternum Library. She had lived in this town her whole life, there was no such place, yet somehow it felt like it had always been there. The door creaked open before she touched it. Inside, endless shelves, floating dust in warm candlelight, a massive circular desk in the center. Behind it stood an elderly librarian, silver hair, calm eyes. He spoke first. "You're late." Elena blinked. "For what?" "For your appointment." "I didn't make one." The librarian smiled softly. "They always say that." He handed her a thick, leather-bound book. Her name was embossed on the cover, Elena Rivera. Her hands trembled. "I didn't write this." "No," the librarian replied gently, "we did." She opened it. The first page described her life. Up until that very moment, word for word, thought for thought, her heart pounded. The next chapter was titled, Tomorrow. Elena read silently. Tomorrow she would fail her math test, she would argue with her best friend, she would miss the bus. Tiny details, impossible details. She snapped the book shut. "This isn't real." The librarian tilted his head. "You may test it." The next day unfolded exactly as written. The failed test, the argument, the missed bus. Each moment felt heavier, because she had seen it coming. That evening, she ran back to the strange street. The library was there again, waiting. She flipped further ahead. 5 years later, she would abandon her dream of art school. 10 years later, she would take a job she hated. 20 years later, she would write in her journal, "I wish I had chosen differently." Her throat tightened. "Can I change it?" The librarian's voice softened. "That depends." "On what?" "On whether you believe it's written. Or whether you believe you are." Elena wandered deeper into the library, past biographies, past memoirs, past shelves labeled, regrets, almost, what if. At the far end was a door marked, revisions. It was locked. Inside the reading room sat another teen, about her age, dark hair. Nervous energy. His book lay open in front of him. "What does yours say?" He asked quietly. She hesitated. "That I give up." He nodded. "Mine says I never try." Silence filled the room. Then he whispered, "I don't want it to be true." The librarian appeared beside them. "You may not erase pages," he said, "but you may add footnotes." Elena frowned. "Footnotes?" "Actions," he explained, "small choices. Brave ones. The future writes boldly, but courage writes in the margins." The next day, Elena did something small. Instead of staying silent during class, she raised her hand. Her voice shook, but she spoke. That night, the book changed. The sentence about failing remained, but beneath it appeared new ink. She asked for help instead. Her heart raced. She apologized to her best friend first. The book shifted again. The future still showed struggles, but it no longer showed regret. The pages were warmer, brighter. Elena turned to the 5-year chapter. It still showed her abandoning art school. She swallowed, and filled out the application anyway. The future didn't change easily. Rejection letters arrived, doubts grew louder, the book flickered between two outcomes: give up, or persist. The pages trembled. One night, the library felt different. Wind rattled its windows, books fell from shelves. The librarian looked older. Tipping points are dangerous, he murmured. What happens if I fail? She asked. He replied softly, then we write again. Elena submitted her portfolio one final time, and waited. Days passed. The book remained blank on the next page. For the first time, the library did not know. The letter arrived. She had been accepted. The book glowed softly. The old prediction dissolved like ink in water, replaced with new words. She chose, not destiny, choice. Elena ran back to the strange street one last time, but the lanterns were gone, the building was gone, only an empty lot remained. In her hands, the book, now blank beyond the present moment. The future is a draft. It writes boldly when we hesitate, but it leaves space for those brave enough to write back. Moral lesson: the future is not something we discover, it is something we participate in. If tonight's story reminded you that your future is still unwritten, please like this video, and subscribe to PillowTaleTime for more calm cinematic journeys every week. Close your eyes, and remember, you are holding the pen.